ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. After the Muslims conquered Persia, the king of that time, the Kisra of that time, he escaped and went into hiding. And in this way, he spent the rest of his life and died. In the meantime, the rest of his family, his children, were taken captive, and they were brought into Medina to be sold off as slaves. When Ali radiallahu anhu saw that the daughters of Kisra are also being brought amongst all these other slaves that were captured from Persia, he suggested to Umar radiallahu anhu that we should not deal with these princesses the way we are dealing with regular slaves. Instead, a very high price should be set for them, and they should be allowed to choose their own masters. Umar radiallahu anhu liked this opinion, and so the three daughters of Kisra got to choose whoever they wanted to be with. And one of them, whose name was Shah-e-Zinan, she chose Sayyidina Hussein ibn Ali radiallahu anhu as her master, and she accepted Islam. So he freed her, married her, and he was having his first child with her. And as she delivered the child, she became very sick, and soon after giving birth to the child, she passed away. This child was named Ali after his grandfather, Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. He grew up with his first teacher, his father, Hussein radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and that blessed noble family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And from childhood, he had access to the great Sahaba and also the top level of Tabi'is who were in Medina at that time. So this young Ali ibn al-Husayn, he saw many difficulties, trials and tribulations. In fact, he was there when his father Sayyidina Hussein radiallahu anhu was martyred. And he endured and continued to live his life as a man of knowledge and wisdom, and dedicated a lot of his time to worship. In fact, even as a young child, he would pray so much extra salawat, he would pray so many nafil salat, that some people used to refer to him as sajjad, the one who is always making sujood, always in sajda. But the general public began referring to him as Zaynul Abidin, the beautifier of worship, the most beautiful worshippers. So, this Zaynul Abidin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with wealth. He had very profitable business. He had farms. It was bringing in money. But he had other things in mind. So one is that he would never compromise his ibadah. But beyond that, he became like a one-man system of welfare for the poor and destitute people. So he undertook the responsibility of taking care of 100 families. And the way he did it is that those families did not fill in an application to get assistance from him. In fact, they did not know that they were about to get the assistance. He himself handpicked those families, and he would, in the middle of the night, take sacks of food, carry them on his back, and leave them in front of the doors of these families. And he did this for 100 houses. And he did this all his life, and no one knew who it was. This was discovered later when he passed away. When he died, those families in the morning, they did not find their supply of food in front of their houses. And on the other side, when Ali ibn al-Husayn's body is being washed, they see markings that you would only see on a laborer's back, like somebody who has carried things all their life, even though he was a very wealthy, affluent person. So then they made the connection that it was him this whole time. Secretly, with ikhlas, not announcing it, not posting it on Instagram. This is me with my sack of food. No. Ikhlas, sincerity, and unconditionally helping and serving people. And this was his attitude in the daytime as well. He wasn't just doing this at night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him this very high set of akhlaq, set of mannerisms and behaviors. Once he got into a conflict with his own cousin, the son of Hassan radiallahu anhu. They exchanged some words, and his cousin, whose name was he was Hassan ibn al-Hassan. So he came up to him while he was amongst his friends, like if you were standing with your friends, and they were just youngsters. Came up to him while he was standing with his friends and really told him off. He said, I said to him everything that possibly I could possibly say, just to let out my anger. And he was there. You know, it's much more embarrassing when someone does this in front of your friends, but he remained quiet. Zayn al-Abidin did not utter a word, just complete, quiet silence. He let his cousin say whatever he wanted to say, and when he walked away, he didn't go chase after him, he didn't do anything. That night, he went to visit his cousin at his house. Knocks on the door. When his cousin Hassan comes out, he thinks, okay, Zayn al-Abidin is here, it's time, it's payback time. He's going to give me a taste of what I gave him earlier today. But he did nothing of the sort. He said, look, my brother, if whatever you said about me was true, then may Allah forgive me for being like that. May Allah forgive me for being such a terrible, such an evil, such a wicked person. And if whatever you said to me was not true, then may Allah forgive you for saying it. And he said, Assalamu alaikum, and he walked off. And he said, I was left I was shocked and stunned. No words of retaliation, no payback, no aggression, no anger. Just like that. If what you said was right, then I need to make tawbah, I need to ask Allah for forgiveness, may Allah forgive me. And if what you said wasn't right, may Allah forgive you for saying it. He said, I chased after him and I caught up to him. He said, please forgive me for the sake of Allah. Please forgive me. He said, it's okay. Forgiven. Once he was leaving the masjid, a group of people were with him. And some random person came and started insulting him in front of all of these people. Now people had a great deal of love. Remember yesterday we talked about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you acceptance and gives you this importance. You don't ask for it, you don't work for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just gives it to you when you live that life, when you become that person. So people immediately pounced on that guy. He said, how dare you insult him like that? So the man panicked, got scared. What do I do now? So Imam Zayn al-Abidin, rahimahullah, told them, please let him go. Please everyone step back. Give the man some space. He cleared them away, and the man by now he was trembling, he was shaking. So he asked him that, is there something you need? Is there something I can help you with? So he said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So Imam Zayn al-Abidin said, look, whatever you said was based on what you see in me. But I'll tell you something. What you don't see in me is probably much, much worse than what you do see. I'm actually even worse than what you were saying. But it's okay. He said, please forgive me for the sake of Allah. So Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he asked someone to bring him a whole sack of dirhams, and he gave it to him. First, he took his shawl off and he wrapped his shawl around this person just to comfort him. Then he asked for a sack of money and gave it to him. He said, you go along your way. So this person, every time he would see Imam Zayn al-Abidin, he would stand up and he would say, Ashhadu annaka min abna'i Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I swear, I testify that you are from the progeny of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was from the grandson. He was the great grandson of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the son of Ali radiallahu anhu. He was directly from that. He was the son of Hussein radiallahu anhu. He was the son of Ali radiallahu anhu. So he is directly from that progeny. And he said, yes, you are someone that I can testify to that you are like that. So just having the name or having the lineage was not enough. It was their character. And this character built appreciation in the people around them. I'll tell you one more story. In the time of Hisham bin Abdul Malik, who was at that time the crown prince of the Umayyad dynasty, Hisham bin Abdul Malik came for Hajj, and as he is going and performing tawaf, he has his guards that are kind of trying to move people out of the way and make space for him so he can do tawaf properly, and it's crowded and it's very difficult to make your way even today. So as this is happening and the guards are moving people out and he's struggling to go around the Kaaba, he sees that a man walks into the mataf. He walks in, and as soon as he walks in, people start parting for him. People start moving out of the way. And he very easily goes up, he kisses Al-Hajar al-Aswad, and he starts his tawaf, and as he goes around, people by themselves are moving out of the way. So one of Hisham's guards whispers to him, who is that guy? Who is this guy that people are they're moving out of the way for him? And here you are, the crown prince of the kingdom, and we're trying to shove and push and make way for you. Hisham said, I don't know who he is. Of course, he knew very well who he was, but he did not want to admit that this person has so much importance. So there was a poet standing nearby, and this poet was famous for his couplets, one of the most famous poets in the history of Arabic. His name was Farazdaq. Farazdaq heard this, and he couldn't stay quiet. He got so upset that you are not acknowledging who this man is, so let me tell you who he is. It looks like you're acting like you don't know who he is, but let me explain to you who he is. And then he starts talking. He says, هَذَا الَّذِي تَعْرِفُ الْبَطْحَاءُ وَطْأَتَهُ وَالْبَيْتُ يَعْرِفُهُ وَالْحِلُّ وَالْحَرَمُ. This is the man that the stones of Makkah know who he is. The house that he is walking around, this Baytullah knows who he is. The land inside the haram knows who he is, and the land outside the haram knows who he is. هَذَا ابْنُ خَيْرِ عِبَادِ اللَّهِ كُلِّهِمِ هَذَا التَّقِيُّ النَّقِيُّ الطَّاهِرُ الْعَلَمُ. This is from the children of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And this man who is so pious and who is so gracious and who is one of our luminaries, he's one of our most outstanding people. هذا ابن فاطمة إن كنت جاهله وبجده أنبياء الله قد ختموا. He is from the progeny of Fatima radiallahu anha, and it was his grandfather who was the last of prophets. فليس قولك من هذا بضائره فالعرب تعرف من أنكرت والعجم. You're saying, I don't know who he is. Who is this man? It doesn't hurt him, because all the Arabs of the world know who he is, and all the Ajams, the non-Arabs, also know who he is. And he actually went on for quite a while. Our time is short. I'll read the couplets to you just because they sound so beautiful. I won't translate them right now. He says, كِلْتَا يَدَيْهِ غِيَاثٌ عَمَّ نَفْعُهُمَا يُسْتَوْكَفَانِ فَلَا يَعْرُوهُمَا عَدَمُ سهل الخليقة لا تخشى بوادره يزينه اثنان حسن الخلق والشيم ما قال لا قط إلا في تشهده لولا التشهد كانت لاؤه نعم. He never said no. When someone came to him to ask him something, He could never say no. In fact, the only time you would hear him say no is when he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasuluh. Only in his tashahhud you will hear him say no. There is no God but Allah. Otherwise, anyone who came to him for any need, it was only yes, 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 yes. عَمَّ الْبَرِيَّةَ بِالْإِحْسَانِ فَانْقَشَعَتْ عَنْهَا الْغَيَاهِبُ وَالْإِمْلَاقُ وَالْعَدَمُ إِذَا رَأَتْهُ قُرَيْشٌ قَالَ قَائِلُهَا إلى مكارم هذا ينتهي الكرم يلضي حياء ويلضى من مهابته فلا يكلم إلا حين يبتسم بكفه خيزران ريحه عبق من كف أروع في عرنينه شمم مشتقة من رسول الله نبعته طابت مغارسه والخيم والشيم. So he goes on and says all of this. By the way, he ended up getting arrested. They're like, what? You're standing up for this man? You're speaking out against, you're making our crown prince look bad? You go in jail. So then Zayn al-Abidin found out that this poor guy got jailed because of this. He had no idea all of this is happening in the background. He is doing his tawaf. When he found out that Farazdaq is in jail, he sent him a whole bunch of money. He sent him gold coins. He said, look, I heard that you went through this for my sake. Please forgive me and use this money for your own necessities. So he sent back a letter. He said, someone like you, their gift cannot be sent back. Their gift cannot be refused. And I know I'm one of those poets that goes into the palaces of kings and rulers and princes and I praise them and they give me a lot of money, but I didn't do this for that. This came out, this was a cry from the heart. My heart was pained when I saw that this person is not ready to give you the respect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. So when we live that kind of life, when we become selfless and help people, when we develop those akhlaq, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives honor. وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Respect and honor is reserved for three entities: for Allah, for His Rasul, and for the believers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also enable us to earn honor in the same way that those people did, through their akhlaq, their mannerisms, through their ikhlas, their sincerity, and through their beautiful character. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.